Bleacher Report just released their new 2026 NBA mock draft after the first couple games of the college basketball season, and we're about, 3 weeks into the NBA season. So we've gotten some type of information, what some of these teams could look like, how some of these prospects have performed. Before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe. Go into the description to submit your video idea, and start off with the number 1 overall pick being Darren Peterson to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, preseason, I have been Cam Boozer, number 1 overall prospect. But if there was a second guy to be number 1, it would be Darren Peterson, in my opinion. I think at this point, it really just depends on who's at that number 1 spot. If it's a team like the Brooklyn Nets, if it's a team like the Toronto Raptors, who could use more guard play, that could use a future point guard, I would take Darren Peterson with that first pick. But if there's a team that maybe already has that solidified guy at the 1 and at the 2 as well, needs some more forward help, you probably do take Cam Boozer because of how special and safe of a talent he is. But Peterson looked to lead against UNC. Everything he was doing in high school, he's doing at the college level, which is crazy. He right now is he front runner for player of the year, in my opinion? I don't know, but it's close. He's for sure close. 2 is going to be the Hawks taking Cam Boozer with that Pelicans pick. Shout out the Pelicans for making that trade. Boozer has been really good preseason-wise. He was really solid in the 2 exhibition games. I wonder if they're going to mention it. He had 57 points, 35 rebounds, and 10 assists against UCF and Tennessee combined. He was solid in his first college basketball game too, but those 2 exhibition games showed me that he could bring the same impact that Cooper flagged last year. And in my opinion, this Duke team can be basically just as good as they were last year, and that's going to also put his name into the player of the year race, because we saw Cooper Flag do that exact thing last year. With those 2 guys off the board, obviously number 3 is going to be AJ to the Washington Wizards. I would love any type of talent going to the Wizards, because I think this is a really talented young core right now. Alex Sarr's looked really good so far in year 2. We've also seen good play from Trey Johnson. Keyshawn George has looked really good. I think this team is starting to go in a direction. Now, out of the first 3 guys who I would prefer to give them, if let's say they have the number 1 overall pick and all 3 of these guys were in the conversation to be number 1, I probably would still give them Cam Boozer, because I think him next to Alex Sarr could be amazing for the future. But you obviously are not going to get mad at drafting a player like AJ DeBansa at pick number 3. Really excited to watch him play UConn in a week. I guess they also have player comps. Let me not go past that too quick. Anthony Edwards for Darren Peterson. We have Paolo for Cam Boozer. And then obviously we saw Tracy McGrady for AJ DeBansa. 4 is going to be Koa Pete. Koa Pete has been amazing to start the college basketball season as well. They're probably going to mention his first game against Florida. He just looked dominant. He was scoring inside. His short jumper looked good as well. Was really good defensive presence. Now, if I had to guess, would he be the 4th overall pick in June 2026? No, because I think prospects are going to go up, go down, stuff like that. But based off of his first performances, we could probably agree that he deserves to be in this spot right here. Really good defensive player. I love his athleticism at his size. He can move very well. He's going to be a great plug and play piece for any team, really. And honestly, that can be the Indiana Pacers, who are lacking some size at the current moment. At 5, we're going to have Nate Ament to the Utah Jazz. Really raw player. Honestly, didn't look too bad. I thought he was going to look a little worse in his college basketball actual debut, because he didn't look that good in his preseason matchup against Duke. The exhibition game was not amazing, but when the season actually started, he looked really solid. Apparently he's 207. That's more than I thought. But yeah, they have his pro comp at Zach Risache. I don't think he has an outside shot that Risache had in his last year with, who did he play with his last year? It was like J.L. Bourne or something like that. He didn't have the same outside shot that Risache had, but their lengthiness it's a fair comparison. 5 to the Utah Jazz. I probably wouldn't have him this high as of yet, but I'm liking what I'm seeing to start the year from Nate Ament. 6 is going to be Jaden Quintance to the Dallas Mavericks. If I'm not mistaken, Quintance has not stepped on the court yet for Kentucky. He's still trying to come back from that ACL tear. I don't know. They don't know his return date either, but he was a 17-year-old playing college basketball last year. That's like me playing college hoops. So he was hooping last year. We know the defensive presence he's going to bring. I think he'd be a great fit for a team like the Pacers, but I also think there should be no world where he goes number 4 to the Indiana Pacers. So that's your dream destination. It's just going to depend on where the Pacers end the season up. And so far to start the year, they might be in the conversation for one of the top 3. But Quintance does have a really nice floor as a defensive anchor. Love to see his offensive game progress as well. 6 feels a little bit high for me, as I didn't even have him in my preseason lottery mock draft. I think he'd probably be hovering around the 12 to 20 range for me right now. I'm a bit lower on him just because of the injury, because we haven't seen him come back from it yet. But he definitely has the ability to play up to this draft spot. 7 is going to be Mikael Brown Jr. to the Sacramento Kings. I love the pick to the Kings. I love the player Mikael Brown Jr. Another player who didn't look amazing during the exhibition game, but he came into the regular season and looked nice. By the way, Bam Adebayo for Quintance. For Mikael Brown Jr., we're going to get Anthony Simons. True bucket getter. He had 28 points and 6 assists against Bucknell. This is one of the best shooters in the draft class. What he could do as a lead guard has been very impressive to me, because I think he can enter the NBA as either a lead guard or off-ball guard. He's going to be a really good NBA player. There's just no scenario where I don't think he is. I look at players like Jared McCain, who's come in as a rookie and made a really big impact right away before his injury. You can't tell me that's not something Mikael Brown Jr. could do as well, immediately, depending on what team he ends up on. And honestly, the Kings might be that team. 7 to the Kings. I like that pick. 8, we have C-Dub, Caleb Wilson to the Memphis Grizzlies. Another guy I didn't even have in my lottery mock draft, but has looked so good to start the college basketball season. He has a really hungry attitude as well. I saw something about him being listed as the 4th best ACC freshman, which honestly is crazy when you think about it. I guess you do obviously have guys like Cam Boozer and stuff like that, but him at 4, an ACC freshman? But yeah, he was just talking about his hunger, how he wanted to prove he was better than those guys. And so far to start the year, he's looking like he's playing that part. He could shoot the ball really well. I've been amazed with his defensive ability as a freshman in college basketball. He's been a lottery guy easily. Jonathan Isaac, comp defensively, I'm not mad at all. 9, we have Braden Burries, also out of Arizona, to the Boston Celtics. Sharpshooter. Hopefully he can be a 3D guy at the NBA level. He has a nice frame, in my opinion, at 6'4", 205. They're saying Quentin Grimes. I think that makes sense, but he has great touch. He could go inside like they're explaining right here, but I think he probably does transform into more of a 3D guy when we talk about his NBA role. 10, we have Braylon Mullins to the San Antonio Spurs. I guess this is just replacement shooting, because we don't know if we're going to be able to afford Julian Champagnie once that contract expires. But yeah, Braylon Mullins is out until sometime in December, I believe. He hasn't played a game yet for UConn. But I think he'll still be a solid prospect. We're going to see the shooting of the basketball at his level, obviously, for the UConn Huskies. I don't expect him to be outside the top 20 come June 2026. But not much I can say about him because he hasn't played a game yet in college basketball. Heinz Stomback at 11 out of Washington. Honestly, Washington has been one of my favorite, like, not sleeper team in particularly, but it's a team I'm really going to be invested to in this college basketball season. You have guys like Heinz Stomback, obviously JJ Mendequit as well. Really, really talented freshman you really have to tap into. Heinz Stomback, I think, at this point is a first-round prospect. His pro comp is going to be Mo Wagner. He's really good at spacing the floor. We know his defensive presence as well. It's really tough when you get an overseas guy who's so experienced already come into college basketball, because he's going to make such a big impact. Heinz Stomback at 11 to the Charlotte Hornets. 12, we're going to get Bennett Sturts to the Grizzlies out of Iowa. This is going to be a really solid backup guard that gets buckets, that runs an offense, that can move the basketball. He's just going to be such an elite college basketball player this year because of his experience, because of what he could do with the ball in his hands. He's played in a really good system right now with Iowa, obviously under Ben McCollum. I expect him to be a first rounder. I don't know if on draft night he ends up being as high as 12, but the game that he plays, he's not going to end up falling out of the first round. 13 is going to be Tunde Yesufu out of Baylor to the Charlotte Hornets. Also, really like this pick. I think the Hornets could use a really good, athletic, strong, defensive-minded guard to add to what they have right now in LaMelo Ball, in Colin Sexton. Obviously, you have the new addition in Con Knipple. A guy like Tunde Yesufu for sure can come in and help change the system they have over there in Charlotte. I think that Charles Lee would appreciate a guy like this as well because of the impact he brings on both sides of the ball. Yesufu has looked elite to start the college basketball season as well with Baylor. His pro comp is Cam Whitmore. I don't really agree with that because of what they show on the defensive side of things, but I see offensively how someone could say that. Yesufu, though, has looked great to start the college basketball season. Dame Sarr at 14, mentioned it before, one of my favorite prospects. his length defensively and the fact that he also has any type of offensive output is what's going to make him a high lottery pick for me specifically. He has a really high ceiling because of what he can do defensively, and if his offensive game can really hit that potential, he's going to be an elite NBA player. At 15, we have the Raptors taking Kareem Lopez. Kareem Lopez has had more of a slow start to this year for the New Zealand Breakers. Obviously, Lopez originally from Mexico. But yeah, he's had a slower start of the season, which is sort of expected. This is an 18-year-old, I believe. Yes, he's an 18-year-old playing in the second best league, some might say. Honestly, I think most might say, in the world. So we're not going to expect him to have an elite output. But in terms of intangibles and what we could see him do on the court, we know he has the size at 6'8". The jump shot has looked very much improved throughout his career in the NBL, and we know he's one of the best defensive prospects in this draft class. Don't expect him to fall out of the first round or anything like that. I think he has way too many good traits that you cannot pass up on. 15 to the Raptors. Honestly, I could categorize this as a steal. At 16, we have Malik Thomas to the Miami Heat. Malik Thomas has also had a good start to the college basketball season. I honestly thought of him more as potentially a 2027 prospect because I didn't know how much high-end run he would get with Arkansas this year because they had a lot of nice returning guys. Obviously, DJ Wagner as well. But he's earned his place on this Arkansas roster. He's showing the shot-making ability that we know, that we saw from him out of high school, and he's really taking it to the next level. I think if he stays at college in 2027, he could be a top 10 prospect. His pro comp is Jordan Clarkson. Those guys love to shoot that pill. But yeah, I think right now he is a first-round guy. But you know how you kind of get to the end of the draft process, and we look at guys last year like LeBaron Philon, Boogie Fland, who are all projected around this range, and then they could not fizzle out in terms of what they had during the season, but maybe their output goes down a little bit. They're really good freshmen, and they don't end up going to the NBA draft because they want to take the NIL money, play in college for another year, transfer. I don't know if Malik Thomas will necessarily transfer, but you look at a guy like him, I kind of compare it to those guys' situations because I don't know if he ends up staying in this year's draft. I would love to see him as a 2027 prospect. At 17, we're going to have Isaiah Harwell out of Houston to the New York Knicks. Honestly, I love this pick a lot. His pro comp is Danny Green. Really good size at 6'6", 220, and he's going to come in and be a really good 3-and-D wing. Exactly what Mike Brown preaches. He's going to be a great addition to the New York Knicks. Honestly, this was one of my favorite picks so far in this draft. Chris Sinak Jr. at 18 to the Warriors. Really versatile center. I think it would be crazy if the Warriors and Steve Kerr got their hands on this type of talent. He's just so fluid with the ball in his hands offensively. Could shoot the ball, could put the ball on the floor. Good playmaker as well. Defensively, we're going to have to improve some stuff. But in terms of his fluidity offensively, he's going to deserve to be a high-end first-round pick. I think 18 is a little low. 19, we have Darius Acuff. Another pick I think is way too low. I said earlier this season I think that Darius Acuff has the most polished offensive bag in this year's NBA draft, and I'm going to stick with that. I know Darren Peterson has been elite. Take all athleticism out of it, and in terms of just in terms of offensive skill set, I would take Darius Acuff over anyone in the draft class. At 20, we have LeBaron Philon Jr., as previously mentioned, to the Denver Nuggets. His player comp is Elfrid Payton. I think in terms of NBA player comparison, LeBaron Philon should be able to do more scoring the basketball at the pro level than what Payton was able to do. Even though Payton was really good playmaker at the NBA level, especially later on into his career. Philon, though, returner, obviously, good size at 6'4", and he's really just a guy that NBA scouts could fall in love with because of his length, because of what he could do going downhill, finishing over taller defenders. 20 to the Nuggets, I like this. At 21, we have the OKC Thunder getting Caden Boozer out of Duke. Honestly, another guy would not mind being a 2027 prospect, but if you could talk about him as a 2026 prospect, he's probably one of the more safer point guards in this class. Doesn't turn the ball over, really doesn't make any bad plays or negative plays on either side of the basketball. He's been a winner his whole career as a basketball player. But yeah, like I said, pro comp Trey Jones, him and his brother don't turn that ball over. They make the right passes, they make the right plays. They're nice system basketball players. I don't know if Boozer will come out in 2026 or 2027. I don't know if Cameron Boozer is going to affect that decision either. I don't know. We'll see. But I think he could be around this late first round range if we're talking about 2026 point guards. At 22, we're going to have Laxo Lendeberg out of Michigan. Lundeberg as a college basketball player will be probably one of the best players, if not the best player in the nation this year. He's going to put on multiple 2020 games. He's that impactful as a player. Would love to see what the jump shot looks like at the NBA level, but I would also hate to see the OKC Thunder harness the power that Yaxel Lendeborg has. Really love Lendeborg's game because of what he does on both sides of the ball. He's a really aggressive player offensively, which I think in terms of your effects as a college basketball player really matters. You see some of the best players in college basketball. They are guys that get to the free throw line and that can finish inside. Lendeborg obviously does just that. Hopefully, the OKC Thunder don't get this guy at 22. At 23, we have Carter Knox to the Milwaukee Bucks. High athleticism player, really good perimeter defender as well. I'd love to see a really high offensive output from Knox this year at Arkansas to really prove he could be a true NBA prospect, an all-around guy. At 24, we're going to see Ade Mara out of Michigan to the Pistons. Remember Ade Mara from 2 years back? This was supposed to be a guy who was a high first-round talent. Obviously did not turn into that. But hey, if this size, 7'3", 255, could turn into an offensive playmaking hub, then you take him at the end of the first round. Nothing's stopping you. 25 is going to be Tahad out of Auburn to Chicago, to the Chicago Bulls. His player comp is Kemba Walker. That's interesting. Is it a little bit lazy? I mean, these are two little guards who are the best at scoring the basketball, don't play good defense, aren't known for their playmaking skills either. But I think Kemba Walker definitely managed more in the mid-range area than what Tahad does right now for Auburn. I think Tahad obviously does. And it's a newer basketball. It's a new basketball era where players shoot more threes. But I think Tahad definitely shoots the three a lot more than what Kemba did at UConn. But Tahad, we know he could have been a first rounder last year out of Auburn. He decided to stay. Bruce Pearl leaves. His son is now the head coach. Because of that, I don't imagine he'll be a 2027 draft guy. I think he'll come out in 2026 because of the situation he was kind of forced in. But he should be for sure a first rounder. 26 is going to be Isaiah Evans. If you let my Lakers get the movement shooter of Isaiah Evans at pick 26, the league messed up. Isaiah Evans is going to be, without a doubt, in my opinion, a positive NBA player just because of how elite of a shooter he is, how well he moves without the ball, which translate amazingly to the NBA level. I mean, John Shire runs such amazing sets for Isaiah Evans where I just like, if this guy gets an NBA system where he's able to run off his screens, man, it's going to be scary. And I think if the Lakers get him at 26, you give Luka another shooter, oh boy. 27, we're going to get Sean Abayev to the Chicago Bulls as well. So the Bulls get Abayev and Tahad. I don't know if I love that because they are two ball-dominant guys. But obviously, they're built differently. Sean Abayev is 6'8", 210. Here's someone that can get buckets like the best of them in the nation. He's a really smooth lefty as well. I really like his game. I think he was really underrated coming out. Has a really nice isolation-focused part of his game as well. I don't know if I'd consider him a first-rounder in this year's draft class, but again, when we're talking about 2027, Sean Abayev is a lottery guy, in my opinion. At 28, we're going to have Elijah Freeman out of Auburn. They didn't even give Brody a pro comparison here. But when you talk about NBA size, NBA athleticism, how NBA players move, Elijah Freeman is just that. He literally embodies the NBA player archetype in 2025-2026. JT Toppin, 29. I think JT Toppin is out of years of eligibility, so he would come out this year. One of the best college basketball players, obviously. He has a really good impact inside the paint, has a great hook with his left, shoots the ball really well over his right shoulder. Really solid college basketball player. What's going to happen in the NBA, we're yet to see. At 30, we have Patrick Ngongba to the Washington Wizards. I would love to see the Wizards probably add some more big depth behind Alex Sarr. I think Patrick Ngongba honestly might end up a lot higher than this too because he's been really good to start the year as well. But guy that runs the floor, can catch lobs, really good at blocking shots. There's not a lot of guys like him in this NBA draft. I kind of think back to a couple years ago, Yves Missi. I think his offensive bag, I guess what you want to call a bag for a big man, his moves as a post player definitely exceed that of Yves Missi, which I do like. But yeah, there's not too many guys like him in this year's draft class, which I think is interesting. Now we're after the second round. Cam Williams out of Kentucky, elite scorer, projects really well defensively at the next level as well. I like him 31 in this early second round. Sergio Delaria This is a prospect that most people probably know at this point because he's been talked about. Should be a really solid playmaker at the next level, shooter as well. Adam Atamna, I have to learn more about this guy. He's 17 years old. Pro comp is Cole Anthony. Gonna have to tap into this guy, obviously. Dash Daniels is a second-round player at this point. Just like Kareem Lopez, he plays in one of the best leagues in the world, and he doesn't play that much. So his output is not going to be good. Shout out to Bleacher Report for this weak comparison, by the way. Like, do better. I feel like that is easy to say. But Dash Daniels, Hooper, should be a first-rounder in this year's draft class. I don't think even with the output, you look at this guy's traits, he's not a second-round player. Henry Vassar. I thought it was Vassar. He's out of North Carolina, though. Really expect him. I think this is a North Carolina team that isn't used to running their offense through a big man. If there's anyone to do it through, it's literally Anthony Robinson, another player we should be familiar at this point, out of Missouri to the OKC Thunder. Donovan Dent, true scorer, one of those older college basketball guards that really just get buckets. And you see what happens in the NBA. Sometimes they pan out and are really good backup guards. Sometimes they obviously fizzle out. We have Miles Uzan to the Blazers at 38. I like him a lot more as a prospect than a lot of people do. I think he might be an end of first round guy, particularly for me. Alex Condon, 39 to the Celtics. I feel like if he's projected 39, he probably just doesn't come out, stays in college, but that's just my opinion. Miles Bird, 40 to the Nets. I'm a bit lower on Bird than the consensus. Thomas Hall, I'm higher. I guess I'm higher on the consensus. I think Thomas Hall can be a first-round prospect for sure. At 42, we have Paul McNeil, similar to Elijah Freeman. He just projects really well into an NBA player. He has the frame, he has the body. Guys that are long, that can defend, that can score the basketball. Just good NBA projects, and I think that's exactly what Paul McNeil is. Darian Reed at 43 to the Celtics. We have Adrian Woolley at 44 to the New York Knicks. I think this is what they had this picture as last time, too. You can't get a picture of my boy? Come on. At 45, we're going to have LaJuan Watts out of Texas Tech. LaJuan Watts, excuse me. Ryan Conwell at 46 out of Louisville. I think he's someone that can end up being a lot higher. Amel Latang out of Dayton at 47. Interesting. Honestly, I don't mind this pick at 47. I think he's going to be an NBA player. Zubi Ejiofor to the Charlotte Hornets at 48. Another guy where I just don't see it, where I just don't see the possibility of him not getting drafted just because the energy he brings on both sides of the basketball. Montrezl Harrell is the absolute perfect comparison. Alex Caravan, obviously a prospect we are very known about at this point. 49 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Sam Hauser's his comp. I think he's going to be able to do probably less shooting the ball from what we see from Sam Hauser, but a lot more inside in terms of finishing inside and defending as well at the NBA level. Shout out Alex Caravan. Shout out the UConn Huskies. At 51, we're going to have Mustafa. Going to have to watch some more of his game, even though I am aware of him as a prospect. Can block, really good shot blocker, can run the floor. Another guy that just has the frame of an NBA player where you would expect them at 7'2", 250 to make some type of impact. Braden Smith at 51, one of the best, if not the best, college basketball player on the planet right now. The best playmaker in college basketball. He runs probably the best offense in college basketball. If you're a Braden Smith hater, don't talk to me because you can't watch this guy and just not be amazed at what he does with the basketball in his hands. Marez Johnson Jr. at 52 to the Rockets. Boogie Fland at 53. You seriously think Boogie Fland is coming out in 2026 if he's projected 53? No, he's staying for that NIL bag for sure. For sure. No way he comes out if he's projected 53, even though it would be really cool to see him back in New York. At 54, Richie Saunders, fair, one of the best players in college basketball as well. I like the Ben Shepherd pro comp because these are just guys that are going to come in and get the job done shooting that basketball. Wesley Yates III at 55. 56, we have Tomislav Ivicic. We're going to have Jerron Pierre Jr. to the Wizards at 57. I like that one. Otega Owe, I think, will be higher than 58. He should be an earlier second-round guy. Josh Dix at 59, and the 60th and last pick, Xavier Lee to the Washington Wizards. Again, I don't know if he comes out, if he's going to be projected 60. That was the mock draft, though. There was definitely a couple of interesting things up high. Did not expect to see Cole Pete at 4, but had a really good start to the year. I think there's a couple guys that I would expect to stay for 2027, but hey, they don't say they're not staying in the 2026 draft. You might as well just put them in there, because why not? Thank you guys for watching this video. See you guys next time. Peace.